Salot. Lumalala ang salot sa kirot na dulot ng malalansang salita. May nagdala ng virus ng bastos na biro at pambabalangka. Nahawa ang madla sa pagmumurang walang takipuka. Dumagsa ang patay na lason sa laway ng sangas-sangang dila. Akalain mo bang pinapalakpakan na lumpating malaswan? Sinasaluduhan mismo ang pinunong masimuno ng sanwa. Kalat na ay ikinakalat pa ang mga peking balita. Kinakandaduhan ang pinto at bintana ng medyang malaya. Ginagamit ang batas bilang matalas na sandata ng daya. Hinahati ang hukbo habang nagpapatuta sa bansang sugapa. Kinakaratulahan, biktimang bulagta, binubura pati gumita. Sino kayong siga? Matapang dumura sa mukha ng mahika. Ang salitang kabiyak ng totoo ay pinanggagahasan. Ang layo-layo na natin sa panahon may dakilang adita sa kartilya ng katipunan na sariling dugo ang ipinanlagda ang Artikulo 6 sa taong may hiya. Ang salita'y manunumpa. Limutin niyo na ako, ngunit huwag sana itong aking babato. Pag ang lipunay wala ng paggalang sa dangal ng diwa, guguho ang katwiran, gusali ng budhi ay sabay magkikiba. Mawawala na rin, wala na nga mangingilatis ng tama. Pag ang pinunoy, di man lang mabigkas, katagang, kalina, bukang bibigay poksa, walang ginawa tayong mabuta. Pagtuluyang nadungo ang ibang propeta, pari at makata, katumbas nito ay pagsuko sa Diyos-Diyosang gawa-gawa. Darating ang araw. Ngayon na nga, loob natin mauubusan. Paano tayo nakisangkot sa pagsugpo sa salot? Harinawa, di tayo mautal at mangatal pag hinarap na tayo ni Bathala. Ako'y inalipusta. Sino nga sa inyo ang tumindig at nagsalita?
We're going to the second part of our forum. We have our reactors who are representing different sectors. I will introduce all of them first and then ask them to present the reactions or response to the speakers or to the theme of the forum or other related issues in 5 minutes each. Representing the church is Bishop Jose Colin M. Bagaforo of Kidapawan, who is the chairman of the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Social Action, Justice and Peace, and was reappointed as president of Caritas. Is the face of the mission of the church to our poor and marginalized, and is at the front line of the work of the church, the justice and peace in our country. It is a man of a cloak like him who best represents the church, which is truly the presence of Jesus in our midst, among our poor, and whose death on the cross was the ultimate act of his struggle for truth and justice. Representing politics is Teddy Bagdilat, who is currently the Secretary General of the Liberal Party. Government experience and advocacies of Sir Maguilat are multiple and plural. But if asked what is it that defines himself, he says he's a katutubo, activist, organizer, Ifugao. Whether as public official or an environmental advocate, this is what defines him. Ang nakakukit sa kanyang puso ay ang Ifugao. This is where his heart belongs. Rising from being a municipal councilor to mayor and then governor of Ifugao, he helped remove the province from the list of poorest provinces in the Philippines. Then he was elected as congressman representing the Lone District of Ifugao for 2 consecutive years. His heart also belongs to the work of the environment. He is currently organizing a national movement for volunteers for the environment and indigenous people's rights called the Angat Kalikasan Philippines. Representing the press, JARIUS BONDOC, who is an investigative journalist of PhilStar, a multi-awarded journalist for 41 years. His columns are noted for deep research and analysis. Grades he picked up from the anthropology school at the University of the Philippines, Diliman in 1970. Covers a broad range of topics: politics, government, economy, society, religion, culture, world events. Peers and readers admire him for his fearless expose of bureaucratic corruption and ineptitude, ignoring threats to his safety and at times to his family. He pounds away on his keyboard with the aim to somehow influence the course of events for the better. To this, he has been given awards by different groups, organizers, and societies, one of which was the coveted Metrobank Foundation Journalist of the Year Award in 2013. Representing the field of law is Attorney OSWALD MAGNO. He attended the University of the Philippines, Diliman, graduating with degrees in political science in 1967 and law in 1971. He worked immediately after graduation from law school with the Constitutional Convention of 1971. He passed the bar the same year among the top 20, getting the 16th place. Having been the convener of the Mandamus group in Bitan, he is a man of vision. As a man of the law, he is tireless in his fight for truth and justice. After graduating valedictorian in elementary and high school at St. Teresa's College, where she was also the president of the Student Council, Olivia Flores Camacho attended UP Diliman, where she completed AP Psychology in 1970, where she also taught while she was in graduate school. She was the ever first female faculty member of the Philippine Military Academy in the Department of Social Sciences. After her defining experience of the EDSA Revolution in 1986, she and her husband, retired Colonel Guy Camacho, PMA Class 65, have pursued their advocacy since moving to Canada. The convener of Malaya Canada and One Sambayan Canada, Livy as we call her, represents the indomitable energy and resilience of women leadership. Sylvia Pimentel Luzon comes from the original political family of Camarines Norte, Bicol. This explains her passion for the politics of this country, where she brings a strong voice of women in any exchange and conversation among like-minded individuals as well as adversaries. She speaks of having grown up in a remote coconut farm without community, electricity, and water as her main source of strength and education, which she drew from when she first started the Flowers for Sylvia in 1978, which today, after 45 years, remains a sought-after high-end brand amid stiff competition at the national and international level. She brings the same mettle and grit of her entrepreneurship, our fight for truth and justice. And the last, but not the least, in the gospel's purview, the last is the first. Is Representative Daniel RAOUL ABELLAR, the first, only, and genuine voice of the youth in the Philippine Congress. Being a member of 30 out of 79 House committees and author of more than legislative measures in his 100 days in office, he is among the 10 most prolific incumbent lawmakers to date. RAOUL has always been exemplary and extraordinary, having graduated as the first summa cum laude of UP Visayas in Iloilo, where he earned his BS Applied Mathematics degree and was awarded as the most outstanding graduate. Having always been a recognized leader among his peers, Raul was unanimously selected as a student regent, the sole student representative to the Youth Board of Regents, which is the highest policy-making body across all campuses. He served as president of the National Union of Students of the Philippines, the country's broadest and longest existing alliance of student councils and government. He championed the right of the youth to education and led students' efforts that brought the enactment of the free college education program in state universities and colleges. It is truly my honor to present to you our reactors. Bishop, can you please begin?
Thank you very much to everyone. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. First, I would like to state that I would not be speaking in behalf of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines sapagkat I was not able to ask their permission that I will be joining this conference. But let me just state what I am going to say. I have heard General Trio many times already. We had been together since last year nung inumpisahan natin itong laban natin tungkol sa nangyaring eleksyon noong nakaraang Mayo 2022. In general, let me state that I believe in the views presented by General Trio. Yung kanyang analysis, very convincing on my part, and that's the reason why even up to now, ay kasama ko sa laban natin tungkol sa pagtingin natin sa nakaraang eleksyon. Yung 2022 election ay lutong Macau. It was rigged and there was a technical or a digital machination ng dagdag bawas na nangyari nung 2022 Mayo election. Pangalawa, ibig ko lang iparating sa inyo ang sentimento ng CBCP. Sapagkat 2 beses na ako ay nagsalita sa harap ng CBCP. Unang-una ay nung inintroduce ko si General Trio at ang grupo na magsalita in the plenary last January, I think, or last July. But there was an opportunity where General Trio was able to speak in front of the plenary, in front of the CBCP. At yun ang unang nagsalita ako in favor sa cause na ipinaglalaban ng grupo ni General Trio, pinaglalaban natin. Pangalawa, very recently, nung July, of this month, nung kami ay nagkaroon ng plenary sa Kalibo, and I presented another issue tungkol sa PPCRB. At nung present ko yung PPCRB, isa sa mga reason, yung naging posisyon namin tungkol o laban sa PPCRB, ay itong presentation which I believe na yung election was really, there was a technical machination that happened ng dagdag bawas. At in summary, let me share with you yung katayuan ng CBCP. Kaya hanggang ngayon ay katulad ng expectation ni General Trio, yun din ang expectation na the whole CBCP ay mag-rally behind us. Pero ito yung kanilang observation. Let me just share it with you para malaman naman natin ang sentimento, siguro quotation mark, ng simbahan, yung naging reaction ng CBCP in my presentation. Number one talaga, sabi nila, yung presentation is based on the analysis and opinions of General Trio and his grupo. And they respect it. Entitled lang sino man na gumawa ng ganong klaseng mga analysis o ganong klaseng pagtingin, pag-aaral tungkol sa nangyari noong 2022 election. Ang katanungan lang, number 2, ay katulad ng tanong ni Colonel Ondonio, na bakit, why aren't the opposition, the pink party, making any loud or strong complaints, no? O bakit hindi sila nag-file ng case against the 2022 election results, ano? Why there was no public outcry coming from the opposition, ano? Kung talagang meron bang nangyaring dayaan, sila yung number 1 stakeholders doon. Sana ay nakisama sila sa ating ipinaglalaban. So that's the very big questions that nasa at the at the back of the mind of many of the CBCP. Ano? Pangatlo, malakas pa rin ang credibility ng PPCRB sa mga obispo kasi after all many bishops are very actively in support of PPCRB. Kaya wala naman nung sinabi na ganun ang PPCRB, ano? Wala namang sinabi ng PPCRB na ganung klaseng dayaan ang nangyari. In fact, they were able to monitor the whole election, and at the end, sabi nila may konting mga fraud, may konting vote buying, may konting anomaly, but in general, the election was good. The election was, quotation mark, if I may use the word, no? I could be wrong with this, but quotation mark, credible naman, accepted naman by all. Wala naman silang sinabi na lutong Macau yung pagkapanalo ni BBM at saka yung kanilang mga partido. Masama lang ang loob ng maraming mga obispo na in spite and despite of all their campaigns, a quotation mark again, against BBM, ay nanalo pa rin si BBM as seen in the results of the election results, So yun ang sabi ng mga kaobispuan in general. Pangapat, sabi ng mga obispo rin, yung NAMPREL, si Gas, Lagman, at the very big right after the audit na nangyari sa Diamond Hotel, came out with a statement that acceptable. They were in a position, in agreement with the result of the election. In other words, nag-consent sa COMELEC result yung, inaasahan nila yung credible organization na NAMPREL. Yun lang, sabi nila, because this is already after election, ang general mind ng mga obispo is yung election tribunal na mag-handle nito at saka Supreme Court, bakit hindi mag-file ng official complaint case, in the Supreme Court, So yun ang kanilang ang sentimento in general na pinalabas ng CBCP in 2 of my presentation about this case, Again, I would like to say, I will always stand with the presentation and analysis of General Trio. I pray that a time will come that other bishops will do the same, and collectively and appropriately respond to this calamity that has happened to our democracy. Siguro probably during my presentation I do not have that charisma of being able to convince the CBCP to our cause. Pero let everyone be assured, on the part of EXA-JP, under my leadership, no, at saka under my term, together with my staff and together with my executive director, si Father Tony, kami ay niniwala, na there is a lotong Macau na nangyari, at we would like to say that we will continue to support General Trio in whatever capacity we have, But yung nga, ang factor talaga dito is yung mga bishops, how to be able to convince them, how to be able to make them believe, siguro we will find another way of doing that, another strategy of doing that na malaman talaga at saka ma-properly inform sila na merong lutong Macau na nangyari noong 2022 election. Yung mga social action directors naman natin in the 86 dioceses that we have, very dependent yan sila in terms of what course of action to take. Very dependent yan sila sa mandate ng kanilang mga obispo. Whatever would be the stand of the bishop, they take quotation mark, they take command from the words of the bishops. Ganon yung mga social action directors natin. So, from all the analysis, at saka marami pang mga speakers, let me just conclude na palagay ko lang, I could be very radical, nabanggit ko, nasabi ko na rin to sa iba. Tatlo ang mga malalaking puwersa, if I may say it, tatlo ang malalaking puwersa sa Pilipinas, Number one, syempre, yung military. Nasa kanila yung armas eh. Pangalawa, yung mga businessmen natin. Yung mga quotation mark, mga oligarch natin, the one that handles the whole thing about ng ating ekonomiya. Powers to reckon yan sila. And sometimes, they, quotation mark again, they influence the result of the election. At pangatlo, with all humility, sabi nila, ay yung simbahan. Any one of them can independently lead whatever, and I'm sure the others, if convinced, will join them. So siguro tinitingnan din natin malakas ngayon yung ating sandataan pang ating armed forces of the Philippines. Nagpahayag na yung ibang mga karamihan, mga retired, mga generals. Siguro yung mga present na nasa, yun ang hamon natin. Kung talagang tapat sa bayan at para sa bayan ang kanilang pagserbisyo, yung mga nasa posisyon ngayon ng ating Armed Forces of the Philippines, siguro ay maganda rin na pag-isipan at we ask you to join our cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop.
Okay. Before 1992 election, I used to cover only the conduct and the result of the elections. Until 1992, I became involved in the preparation for the elections because the COMELEC compelled us in the media because of the law at the time, na meron dapat media-based citizens quick count. Kaya inobliga po kami ng COMELEC noon na mag-form ng isang media citizens quick count at ako po ay naging miyembro po ng National Council noon at co-chairman for Metro Manila. And since then, every 3 years thereafter, na-involved na rin po ako at nagko-cover din sa mga preparasyon ng mga eleksyon. At ang pamamahayag kasi po, sinasabi, this is history being written as it unfolds. Now, babalikan ko pa lang po, mabilis na mabilis, kung ano po yung naganap mula po nung nagkaroon tayo ng automated election system hanggang ngayon po na ito na napakalaking expose po ni General Eliseo Rio. Noong 2008, diyan po unang sinubukan ang electronic elections sa ARMM, Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao. Dalawa pong kumpanya ang hinire noon. Ang isa po doon ay ang Smartmatic. Ang hinawakan po ng Smartmatic ay ang eleksyon sa Mindanao noon, Maguindanao, sorry. Maguindanao, tapos yung ibang probinsya, iba po ang humawak na kumpanya. Ang produkto ng Smartmatic noon ay yung tinatawag na DRE, Direct Reading Electronic System. Touch screen po ito. Pag pindot nyo sa screen, lalabas na kagad yung boto doon, yung count. Ang kabila po, ang ginamit ay yung optical mark reader or yung PCOS, precinct count optical scanner. Yun po ang ginamit nung kalaban ng Smartmatic. 2008, ipinasa po yung AES law, no po, Automated Election System Law. 2009, nagkaroon na po ng bidding dito. Nung pumasok po ang isa sa 8 bidders, ang Smartmatic, nagulat ang mga tao na ang binebenta niya na noon ay yung OMR na o yung PCOS machine na. Hindi na yung sinasabi niyang direct reading electronic system. Sinabi pa niya sa website niya before that, noong 2008, na delikado yung OMR na yan, yung PCOS na yan, kasi hindi accurate yung resulta niyan, madaling manipulahin yan, mga PCOS na yan, nasa website niya. At sinabi niya, dahil dyan sa madaling manipulahin yan, this will cause civil unrest. Nasa website po ng Smartmatic yan. Pero 2009, nung bidding, ang binebenta niya na yung PCOS. Sabi pa ng 2 American companies na nag-participate sa PCOS, hindi naman yan original. Kailangan nasa batas kasi, ikaw ang original owner ng hardware at software. Sinabihan siya in-expose siya nung Sequoia, na isang malaking kumpanya sa Amerika na nagbebenta ng election systems, na ganito rin, election system provider. Sinasabi, salesman lang namin yan dati. So, pero tinanggap pa rin ng COMELEC. Ito nakakapagtaka ang COMELEC. Mulat sa poll. Mukhang pumapaan, may kilya, kumikiling sila. Nung product demonstration, umusok ang baterya ng Smartmatic PCOS. Ibig sabihin, hindi na dapat pwede yan. Umuusok yung baterya, nasunog. Okay. Ang sabi nila, hindi baliwala raw yun dahil hindi raw bahagi ng makina yung baterya. Imposibleng mangyari yon kasi ang nasa provisions ng batas at nung terms of reference ng bidding ay kailangan bahagi ang baterya, backup batteries nung makina. So, tinanggap pa rin yung bid nila. Okay, nanalo sila, 2010 election sila nag-conduct. Napakalaki ng gastos po rito, no? 12 billion pesos para sa lease. Inupahan lang yung 97,000 PCOS machines at 124,000 each, ano po? At inabot po ng 12 billion pesos. Ang masaklap dito, no, sa 12 billion pesos na to, yun lang pang-upa pa lang yun, ano? Between elections, every 3 years ang elections, ibobodega mo pa yan. 400 million pesos ang cost ng pagbobodega. Tapos may accessorizing pa yan tuwing election. I-accessorize mo pa yan para makapag-transmit yung mga BCMs na yan, yung mga PCOS machines. 1 billion piso pa po yan na dagdag. Tapos may mga iba pa pong mga pangangailangan na sa ganitong klaseng election system nila is another 1 billion pesos. So every 3 years yan po mga nagagasta natin. Tapos nung 2010 election, kung maaalala nyo, 2 weeks before election day, nagka-aberya, sabi, kesyo raw, yung 97,000 na PCOS machines na meron silang SD cards, ay corrupted daw yung SD card, yung secure digital card. Kaya 2 weeks before, kinailangan bumili ng 97,000 SD cards at pinalitan lahat yan. And also 97,000 backup cards, pinalitan lahat yan. Hindi na na-review kung ano yung ikinabit nila ron, kung ano yung nilaman ng cards na yon. Na yan, lumabas na election, 2010. Kaduda-dudang resulta kasi hindi na-review kung ano yung pinasok nilang SD cards, maaring naluto yung resulta. 2013, Mayo ang eleksyon. Enero pa lang ng 2013, biglang nagkaroon ng kaso sa Delaware, sa United States. Dinimanda ng Smartmatic ang Dominion Company of Canada. Bakit daw? Kasi ayaw na silang paggamitin ng software para sa PCOS. Lumitaw ang totoo. Hindi pa rin sila may-ari ng software ng PCOS. And yet, natapos yung kaso nila early May. Tinuloy pa rin yung kontrata sa kanila ng COMELEC noong May 2013. Sila pa rin, miski hindi sila may-ari ng software, inobliga lang yung Dominion na paggamit pa rin sa kanila for the 2013 election, sila pa rin ang naging kontratista. Doon lumabas ngayon yung kaduda-duda na namang resulta. Kung maalala nyo, 60-30-10 trend ng senatorial candidate. 60% lahat ng ng mga administration candidates. 30% ng boto mula sa poll nasa mga oposisyon, 10% sa mga independent mula consistent. 2016 sila pa rin. Tapos si Vice President candidate Bongbong Marcos Jr. mismo nag-complain. Dinaya ako ng PCOS machine. Dinaya ako election cheating machinery yung Smartmatic, sinabi niya. 2019 election, sinabi pa, naobliga pa si Senator Richard Gordon, isa sa mga kumakda ng AES law, sabi niya, naobliga pa siyang pumunta sa Korte Suprema para pilitin, obligahin ang COMELEC na paggamitin ang Smartmatic nung nagpag-i-issue ng resibo, yung VVPAT, yung Voter Verified Paper Audit Trail, yung parang resibo ng mga boto natin. Isa yan sa maraming mga safeguards pero hindi sinusunod ang batas. 2022 election, ano ang nangyari? 6 na provisions ng AES law hindi po sinunod ng COMELEC. Number 1 dyan, yung requirement na yung 3 members ng Board of Election Inspectors, 3 teachers sa bawat presinto, dapat lahat sila may digital signature or passcode para paanda rin yung PCOS machines. Ano po? Before that, let me add, nadagdagan nga pala ng 10,000 PCOS machines. Inupahan natin, nilist na naman natin for 80,000 plus each. Nagbayad tayo ng 842 million pesos para sa dagdag na 10,000 lang. Na kaya naging 107,000 ang PCOS machines natin. Okay. Tapos, hindi inobliga na gumamit ng digital signatures yung 3 members ng Board of Election Inspectors except sa Metro Manila, Cebu City at Davao City. The rest of the country, ang meron lang passcode para paandarin ang PCOS ay yung chairman ng BEI. Ito kaduda-duda na. Pangalawa, merong mga na dapat pinapayagan mag-monitor ang mga election watchdogs nung ballot printing tsaka nung SD card formatting. Yung ballot printing, pinayagan ng COMELEC ang PPCRB na panoorin ng pag-iimprenta nung 70% na ng balota ang naiimprenta. 30% na lang napahabol. Tsaka lang sila sinabi, manood kayo mula rito sa bintana na ito habang nag-iniimprenta ron. Ang palusot, siyempre, COVID-19. Yung SD card formatting, hindi po nakapanood ang mga watchdogs. Meron pa nga umaangal na hindi siya pinayagan, hinarang po siya doon pa lang sa parking lot, doon sa kung saan gagawin yon. Sa parking lot pa lang, hinarang siya ng security. At nag-complain siya sa COMELEC, walang ginawa ang COMELEC. Number 3, sabi doon sa isa pang provision ng batas, 6 na dokumento kailangan i-submit at ipaskel ng COMELEC sa kanilang website 90 days before election day or February 9, at least 90 days before. 4 po ron, hindi ginawa doon sa 6 na dokumentong yon. Nag-resolution po ang COMELEC May 6, 2022, 3 days before election day. Sabi nila, hindi natin na ipaskel ito kasi late na sinubmit, kasasubmit ngayon lang araw na ito. So ipinaskel nila yan 2 days after election, May 11. Tsaka lang nila pinaskel sa kanilang website yung 4 sa 6 na dokumento na dapat sinubmit nila noon pang February 9. At hindi lang basta kunwari pinaskel. Hindi mo may click yung link. Hindi mo mabubuksan yung link dun sa website nila. Parang pinaskel lang pakitang tao. Wala rin mangyari. Tapos may mga iba pa. Yung hanggang doon sa hindi na-review ang source code ng transparency server, central server, backup server. Tapos yung sinasabi po na kanina ni Bishop BAGAFORO na sabi raw ng NAMFREL, yung ang random manual audit ay okay naman. Ang pinanghawakan po ng NAMFREL, in-oversee nila yung mga teachers na nag-RMA, Random Manual Audit. Naka-closed door po yun sa isang 5-star hotel. Ang pinanghawakan po ng NAMFREL mismo ay yung audit mismo, ano po, just to put it in proper context, the auditing itself. But wala pang control ang NAMFREL doon sa pagpili ng mga presinto na kung saan yung mga ballot boxes dadalhin sa Maynila. Yun pong electronic tombiolo na pumili po ng mga presinto, hindi po na source code review. At dumating po yung maraming mga ballot boxes doon sa RMA Center, ni wala pong padlock, ni ano lang, naka-twist tie lang. So, yun ang po, just to put these things in a proper context. Ano po ang naging resulta nito? Ang naging resulta, maraming katakataka. Yun nga pong dumagsak agad, ang dami-daming boto na within the first hour. And then after that, pababa na, which is parang it defies all other election results in the Philippines and in the world. Pangalawa, mas mataas po ang boto ng Vice President kaysa sa President for the first time. And isa pa, mas mataas ang boto ng Presidente at Vice President kaysa doon sa number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 sa Senado. First time nangyari ito. At ngayon, nalaman natin kung bakit nagkakaganito. Ito na po ang expose ni General Eliseo Trio. Maraming salamat po. At magandang araw sa inyo.
Salamat po, Mr. BONDOC. Attorney Magno, please.
Magandang umaga at magandang gabi sa inyong lahat kung saan man kayo nandun. Yung narinig po natin na pagmamanipula ng automated election system mula kay General Rio ay siyang dahilan ng paghain ng grupong ito ng writ of mandamus, petition sa Korte Suprema. Pero maraming nagtatanong, ano ba ang mandamus na yan? Gusto ko pong liwanagin ang mga ilang bagay tungkol dito. Ang word na mandamus ay salitang Latino, meaning we command. At yung term na writ of mandamus ay tumutukoy sa isang court order to a public officer or employee to perform a duty that he has refused or neglected to do. Yung writ of mandamus petition na pending sa Supreme Court ay humihingi ng order compelling COMELEC to preserve and deliver transmission logs which are needed to confirm the legitimacy of the contested May 9 election results. Specifically, the 20 million votes or plus votes that COMELEC had reported in less than 1 hour after the polls closed on May 9. So these are the points that I'm going to explain briefly regarding the mandamus case for the edification of everybody. First of all, the mandamus case is not political. Maraming nagsasabi na ayaw nilang makialam sa kasong ito dahil ang kaso daw ay politikal. Sabi, marumi ang politika. And we don't want to get involved. But the case is not about politics. Tapos na po yung eleksyon. Hindi na eleksyon ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, kundi yung mga kaduda-dudang resulta na nagpapahiwatig na dinaya ang eleksyon. Okay. Number 2. The mandamus case is not an electoral protest. Yung kaso, hindi nananawagan sa Supreme Court na magmandar ng recount para malaman kung sino ang totoong nanalo. Remember, none of the petitioners was a candidate in the national elections. All of them are plain ordinary citizens just like us. Ang kanilang hangarin ay ilabas ng COMELEC ang patunay sa mga kahina-hinalang mga resulta. Okay, number 3. The case is about our right to information. Ito po ang sinasabi ng Constitution natin tungkol dito. Let me read it. The right of the people to information on public concern shall be recognized access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen. And then in Article 2, Declaration of State and Principles and Policies, subject to the reasonable conditions prescribed by law, the state adopts and implements a policy of full disclosure of all its transactions involving public interest. Maliwanag po yan. Klarong-klaro po yan. So, yung twin provisions na ito in our Constitution are meant to promote transparency. And they entitle us citizens to demand information from public agencies and officials that will allow us to participate effectively and intelligently in the discussion and formulation of policies that affect us, and also allows us to hold public officials, errant public officials, accountable. Okay. Fourth, maraming nagsasabi na baka ma-dismiss yung kaso dahil it's not, yung writ of mandamus is not the correct and proper remedy. Pero batay sa irregularities na na-observe ng TNT Trio, gaya ng mahigit na 20 million votes reported sa loob ng humigit kumulang kalahating oras lamang, the only way to know the truth is for COMELEC to make available transmission logs that confirm that those results actually came from the DCMs and not from an illegitimate source. Now, since the COMELEC refused to provide the requested logs, ano pang gagawin ng TNT Trio? They had to seek an order compelling COMELEC to release those logs. So, the conclusion, the writ of mandamus petition is a correct and proper remedy. Kaya kung minention ito, ay hindi pwedeng i-dismiss ng Supreme Court yung kaso on the ground na hindi ito ang proper and legal remedy. Proper legal remedy. Number 5, the case is justiciable. Tinatanong, kaya bang lutasin ito ng anumang korte? In other words, is the case justiciable? You know, before agreeing to hear a case, a court first examines its justiciability. What does that mean? That is a preliminary review that does not address the merits of the case, but simply looks at whether the case is right, whether there is a real or substantial, not hypothetical issue or dispute that requires adjudication. And number 3, the party bringing the lawsuit has standing. Kung wala yung mga yan, i-dismiss kagad ang kaso. But here's the thing. When the Supreme Court ordered the COMELEC to submit comments to the petition, that effectively says that they determined that the case is justiciable. So, moot point na po ito. Number 6, TNT Trio has legal standing po. Hanggang ngayon, may mga naririnig pa ako na sinasabi na walang standing ang TNT Trio to bring the case kasi di naman sila kandidato. Kaya madidismiss lang ang kaso. Hindi po totoo ito. Alalahanin natin na ang kaso ay hindi electoral protest. Okay? At isa pa, ang TNT Trio has what is called public interest standing. As citizens who voted in the last elections, they have a right to know whether their votes have been properly counted. So, yan, maliwanag na meron silang legal standing po. Kaya hindi issue yan. Now, number 7, the case is very simple. Very simple po. Now, some people think that the mandamus petition is a complex case. Well, it was initially, as it involved a constitutional issue, determination of a constitutional issue, aside from the other issues that I previously mentioned regarding justiciability, legal standing, etc. But you know, the case was greatly simplified by COMELEC itself when it told the Supreme Court in its comments that it has complied with the Mandamus petition after it posted what it claimed to be transmission logs in its website. Through its action in posting the logs, COMELEC not only acknowledged that the Mandamus petition is the correct remedy, that the petition is justiciable, and that the 3NT trio have legal standing. Most importantly, COMELEC also acknowledged that the 3NT trio have a right to information as provided in the Constitution. So, wala nang pagtatalunan na mabibigat na issue. The case is now really just a matter of ordering the COMELEC to deliver true transmission logs. By the way, once the Supreme Court issues an order ordering COMELEC to make available true transmission logs, that will be the end of this case. So, walang determination kung sinong nanalo or what not. What happens next after the logs have been examined and analyzed will be the subject of other separate legal actions as the facts may warrant. Ang masasabi ko lang, kung mapapatunayan na nagkaroon nga ng electronic manipulation ng mga boto, ang siguradong mangyayari dyan ay magsusulong ang TN3 trio ng mga electoral reforms para hindi na mauulit ang pandaraya. Number 8, citizens are free to comment publicly. Ang isang pumipigil sa mga tao na makihalo at magkomento sa kasong ito ay ang takot na makasuhan ng contempt of court dahil sa tinatawag na violation of the sub judice rule. Liliwanagin ko po ito. The sub judice rule prohibits the litigants from commenting on the case. The rule does not apply to non-litigants like us. And even with litigants, there are exceptions when the issues are of public interest. Nakikita naman ninyo si Franklin Isaac. Ang dami niyang ipinopos dyan. Bakit hindi siya kinakasuhan? Well, because this is a public interest matter. Exception yan sa sub-judice rule. It is important for us to remember that the Mandamus petition has to do with the fraudulent results of the election, which is an issue of public concern. All Filipinos, and I will say, including politicians, are free to comment or even engage in public demonstrations critical of government action or inaction. Number 9, this is not purely a legal issue po. Maraming nagsasabi, hey, a legal issue yan. Hayaan na lang natin na magdesisyon ng Supreme Court tungkol dyan. Totoo ba? Totoo bang legal issue lang ito? While it is true that the matter is now before the Supreme Court and as such, it is a legal issue nga. The truth is, the election rigging controversy is not purely a legal issue po. It is also a moral and ethical issue. Stealing elections by manipulating the automated election system and other forms of cheating is a moral and ethical issue. They deserve every citizen's moral condemnation. And I will say this, Filipinos would be well within their rights to speak out publicly, join protest rallies to demand speedy and forthright action on the part of all those involved, especially the COMELEC and the Supreme Court. Isa pa, the latest revelation of General Rio concerning the use of a secret and illegal private network to transmit election results is very disturbing. This to me is a brazen criminal act that demands not only a criminal investigation by the Department of Justice, but also, guess what? A congressional investigation. Pero nasaan na yung mga politiko tinangkilik natin? Bakit hindi sa nila isinusulong magkaroon ng congressional investigation or investigation? Dahil ba sa legal issue ito? Yung ba ang rason nila? Napakababaw na excuse po yan. Number 10. I want to say something about the impeachment complaint of Colonel Odonio and the TNT trio. I personally believe that there are good grounds for launching an impeachment complaint against COMELEC commissioners under whose watch or responsibility the election rigging took place. First, let me just show you what the Constitution says about this. You can read that. Public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency. Section 2, it defines who the impeachable officials are, and this includes the members of the constitutional commissions. And the grounds for impeachment are conviction of a culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, or betrayal of public trust. I highlighted the two, culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayal of public trust, because these are the ones that are germane to the impeachment complaint. Okay. So, as I see it, the impeachment complaint hinges on those two grounds. So, what might COMELEC's conduct be that constitute culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayal of public trust? I will name a few. I haven't seen the impeachment complaint draft myself, but based on my own analysis, these are the examples of conduct that constitute culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayal of the public trust. Number 1, demonstrated attempt to mislead or deceive the public by posting reception logs instead of real transmission logs. Number 2, fraudulently altering their earlier narrative of when transmissions peaked to justify the 20 million votes it reported in less than 1 hour. Number 3, failure to exercise due diligence in investigating allegations of irregularities, including NAMFREL's observation of a discrepancy related to the VCM hash codes. Number 4, deliberate failure to shed light on the improbable 20 million plus votes in failing to request or authorize the telcos to produce call detail records and or transmission logs, which they are in a position to do. And finally, unlawfully acquiring and failing to disclose the existence and use of a private network to transmit election results outside of the telco. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagkinig. Kung meron kayong mga tanong, isulat lang po ang tanong ninyo sa chat ng Zoom.
Salamat, Attorney. Can we now go to Libby Camacho, please?
Okay. To my fellow Filipinos in the diaspora, reaching out in particular to my contemporaries at St. Teresa's College and the University of the Philippines in Diliman, To my friends and co-workers from way back home and way back when, a special greeting to my previous colleagues in the faculty and all my former students in the Philippine Military Academy from classes 1973 to 1979, many of whom have reached the pinnacle of the military and police organizations in service to our country, and of course to all of you, our listeners. Thank you for your passion and your patience and your remaining tonight. I speak today and I react with a heavy heart and a sense of urgency because from what we have just heard from our distinguished speakers, our beloved country, the land of our heritage handed to us by our forebears, is facing yet another grave threat to its democracy. The recent Philippine elections of May 9, 2022, a sacred democratic exercise by the Filipino people, was defiled by massive, systematic electronic rigging orchestrated by none other than the very constitutional body mandated to protect its sanctity and integrity, the COMELEC, in unholy collusion with Smartmatic, the contracted provider of the automated electoral system, for which Filipino taxpayers paid over 1 billion pesos. This revelation from TNT Trio, which stands for Truth and Transparency Trio, composed of 3 courageous men, Brigadier General Eliseo Rio Jr., my kababata in Baguio, Franklin Isaac and Gus Lagman, is an immediate call to arms that demands our collective indignation and action. What actions must we take? Here are some suggestions I have put together to help us to do our share. Number 1, we must educate ourselves, get involved, organize. Our first step is to learn about the insidious methods used to undermine our democratic processes. Let's be proactive in educating ourselves, engaging with others as we have done tonight, who are advocating for truth, and understanding the extent of this manipulation. Our collective knowledge empowers us to become catalysts for change. Quickly, for starters, if you have not done so yet, please sign the People's Mandamus petition that has been circulating for months now, asking the Supreme Court to compel COMELEC to submit the transmission logs of the transparency servers during the first 2 hours after the closing of the polls on May 9, 2022. You're also, of course, welcome to join our advocacy group, Global Transparency and Transformation Advocates Network, or GTAN. Number 2, we must spread awareness. We may be far from home, but our voices carry across international borders through social media. Let us share what we've learned with our networks, especially our family and our friends back home, who may be suffering under the weight of all kinds of oppression, from fear of harassment and red tagging, food and job insecurity, and the unspeakable struggle of living from day to day. Let us tell them that we need to be together in the fight to preserve democracy. And together, we demand transparency, accountability, and justice in the rigging of the 2022 elections. Number 3, we must have patience, perseverance, and endurance. We must acknowledge that the road to transparency, truth, and transformation will not be easy. People will ignore us, chastise us, unfriend us, avoid us, even hate us. Disinformation, misinformation, and revisionism have eroded our values and polarized our nation. Rebuilding our sense of unity and justice will take time. And only after the truth about the 2022 elections has been exposed and the culprits made accountable. So we cannot afford to give up our commitment must be unwavering. Number 4, positive action and accountability. It's easy to succumb to despair when faced with seemingly insurmountable problems. However, let us remember that change starts from within us. We must hold ourselves and our leaders accountable, demanding honesty, integrity, competence, and responsibility in every aspect of governance. Since this administration is deemed illegitimate because it was installed through fraudulent means, then we must have the courage to act accordingly and demand that it step down. Number 5, faith and hope in God and trust in each other. Pananampalataya at pag-asa sa Diyos at pagtiwala sa isa't isa. In times of darkness, let us find solace in our faith and hope in God and trust in one another. Together, let us protect and nurture our democratic way of life, preserving the sacrifices made in EDSA in 1986 and throughout our history for our apos and future generations. And finally po, number 6, justice and peace, katarungan at kapayapaan. We cannot achieve lasting peace and prosperity without justice. Stand firm in the pursuit of truth and accountability, for only then can we heal as a nation and move forward toward a brighter and more united Philippines. Kapit-bisig po tayo. In closing, to my mind, our duty as Filipinos in the diaspora is to be the unyielding voice of reason and justice. We may be physically distant, but our hearts remain connected to the Philippines. Let us therefore rally together, rising above apathy, indifference, laziness, and difficulties to reclaim the democracy our people deserve. After all, the fight for a better Philippines begins with us. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang mga Pilipino sa ibang bansa. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you,
Thank
Vivi.
you.
Thank you so much. Raul, Daniel, Abellar, Manuel, our representative of the youth. Yeah.
Hello?
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yan. Hello po, magandang araw sa lahat. Kay Ma'am Cristina sa Global Transparency and the Transformation Advocates Network, sa mga partner organizations, sa lahat din ng mga speakers, fellow reactors, all participants. Isang palabang araw sa ating lahat. Yung ating naging forum for today, actually, it triggered some flashbacks sa aking isipan nung kasama natin yung mga kapwa kabataan at yung iba ding mga kababayan natin na noong May 10, 2022, edi yung umaga after nung nangyaring napaka-anomalyang eleksyon sa Pilipinas, nag-hold ng protest action sa COMELEC at pagkatapos ay nagtipon-tipon din sa Liwasang Bonifacio malapit sa nasunog ng post office. Since that day, hindi talaga nawawala sa isipan naming mga kabataan na meron talagang hindi tamang nangyari. Hindi natin ganun kadaling matatanggap yung nangyaring eleksyon. Maliban dun sa kung ano yung naging resulta, pero yung proseso kasi talaga sobrang questionable. Kaya nung tayo ay naupo na bilang kinatawan ng mga kabataan sa loob ng ating kongreso, ay nagkaroon tayo ng ilang mga hakbang. Yung pagpa-file natin ng isang House resolution to investigate the 2022 national elections. Gusto nating i-urge yung Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, tsaka yung Committee on Good Governance and Public Accountability na investigahan agad in aid of legislation yung irregularities and yung nakita naman very obvious na failure to achieve free and fair election standards noong May 9, 2022. Ang resolution na ito ay na-file natin as one of our top 10 resolutions. No? First day po ng pagkakaupo natin, June 30 last year, final natin ito. And part of the resolution is paying special attention dun sa naging papel ng Smartmatic and the concerned public servants, especially yung COMELEC. Now, when we filed that, nai-refer sa Committee on Rules ng House of Representatives, tapos nilipat yung pagre-refer sa Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms. Pending siya sa committee na iyon since August 24, 2022. At well, edi nakakalungkot kasi since then, hindi sumulong, no? Never naging part ng agenda ng House of Representatives ang ating na-file na resolution. At ito ngang pagpa-file natin ay offshoot din nung naging tindig ng Kabataan Party List at iba pang mga progressive na party list sa House of Representatives. Kasi before pa tayo naupo, edi yung mga nakaupo noong 18th Congress, sila yung involved dun sa process ng pagka-canvas ng results for the President and the Vice President. And noong pumunta na sa botohan, edi voice vote yung nangyari, more on pagsigaw, kung agree ka o hindi dun sa pagkaka-proclaim. Edi yung ating former representative, si Kong Sara Elago, isa siya dun sa iilan na sumigaw ng no, hindi pumayag dun sa pagkaka-proclaim, given yung naging napakadumi at sobrang incredible na electoral process na meron tayo. So yun yung ilan sa mga pagsisikap natin, bagamat ito nga ay isang mahaba-habang laban pa, pero para sa mga kabataan, tingin natin, hindi imposible na magkaroon tayo ng malinis na eleksyon. Kasi in fact, sa experience ng ating mga student leaders, na ating mga student councils or student governments, when we have elections sa campus, nakakaya naman na ma-ensure yung sanctity ng proseso from the registry of voters hanggang sa mangyari na talaga yung botohan, announcement of results. Ibig sabihin, merong concrete practice sa mga kabataan na kaya naman yung malinis at patas na eleksyon. Kaya ito yung ating pinahuhugutan now that we are facing yung national level na eleksyon na edi nandyan yung decades old na mga sistema na gusto nating mawala na. At dahil nga habang marami tayong tanong sa automated election system, ang nais pang gawin this coming October sa barangay and SK elections ay i-testing ito sa iilang mga lugar sa ating bansa. Kaya nung nag-adopt ng resolution yung House of Representatives for such move, nag-express din tayo on record ng ating inhibitions at moving forward para sa ating advocacy for transparency at para talaga hindi na maging cycle itong nangyayari, we also filed the hybrid election system bill. Isa ito sa mga na-file din natin para proactive tayo doon sa paglalatag ng ating alternative at ng ating vision. Now, for the final part of this reaction, dahil lingering din talaga na tanong sa ating mga participants at sa maraming mga nais lamang ng tunay na democracy sa Pilipinas, paano natin mapapakilos yung marami nating mga kababayan na marami talaga ang pinoproblema sa araw-araw ay yung mga gut issues, paano makakakain, paano magkakaroon ng trabaho, at sa isang banda din, paano din tayo na polarize. Polarization siya fueled by yung mga trolls, yung deceptive na paggamit ng social media. Pero kaming mga kabataan, hopeful pa rin na kahit may ganitong circumstances, pwede pa rin manaig yung ating mga layunin para sa ating bansa. And kaya ako hopeful kasi nilatag din naman yon ng ating mga speakers. Yung unang speaker natin nag-discuss na para bang problem in the making itong naging resulta ng 2022 national elections. Tapos yung ating second speaker, yung technical aspect ng automated election system. At yung pangatlo, paano pinakinabangan ng mga nakabentahe dun sa naging maanomalyang election yung results para patuloy na mangurakot or palalain pa nga yung corruption sa ating bansa. So ibig sabihin, very connected yung ating goals dun sa gut issues din ng ating mga kababayan. Kasi may nang paano natin maipaliwanag, mamulat din yung ating mga kapwa Pilipino na yung paghihirap nila ay bunga yon ng ineffective na mga anti-people programs. Na sino ba yung nagsusulong sa ngayon? Eh di no other than yung mga leaders din naman na naupo after a very anomalous election na hindi na nila inisip paano man lang titiyaking malinis yung kanilang pagkakaupo kasi gano'n na sila kagahaman, gano'n na yung thirst nila for power, paglinis ng kanilang reputasyon. Kaya, ibig sabihin, yung paghihirap ng taong bayan, yung kung wala silang trabaho, kung apektado sila ng inflation, mahal yung bigas, babalik din talaga doon sa paano ba naupo yung mga nasa pwesto ngayon. Kaya, yun yung ilan sa mga maraming dapat nating gawin and yung kabataan Pilipino patuloy pong gagawa ng mga aktibidad before this State of the Nation address, naglunsad ng mga State of the Youth address sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa para patuloy nating madala yung crusade nung itong scam na gobyerno na meron tayo na ngayon ay busy sa paglikha pa ng maraming mga scam kagaya ng Maharlika investment scam, yung scam ng 20 pesos na bigas at iba pa. So yun, we remain hopeful at sana huwag tayong bumitaw sa crusade na ito. Yun lamang po sa ngayon and maraming salamat. More power po sa Global Transparency and Transformation Advocates Network.
Salamat. Salamat, Raul. Is Sylvia ready? Okay.
Hi. Yeah, so sorry about, I'm so dinosaur. Well, thank you very much for having me. I think I have to explain to the public that I was invited here because I was spotted attending rallies in support of TNT Trio, and which are mostly attended by seniors. In fact, me, I'm already close to 70. The ones attending are even older than me. Some of them have crutches. Why is this? Why is it that it's the seniors now who are moving? The TNT Trio, the ones attending, and of course we just had our young speaker just before me. Your attendance has really been so super absent, and so I would like to express my my thoughts. That I was very grateful every time I attended these rallies. I would go there alone, and I've never really well, first of all, even my neighbors who were very active during the campaigns, they were all very, very quiet now. But I think this is just a response to what happened on May 9, 2022. You know what I believe? I disagree with the PPCRV, with Manfred, that the election was in order, because I think at the time when this actually happened, we actually had unity. Unity, which is what the unity team was asking. We had that because at 8:02 p.m. on May 9, 2022, Philippine national election, 40 minutes after voting closed, our usually divided regionalistic Filipino people from 7,641 islands composed of over 42,000 barangays experienced one moment of real unity, that of a united trauma. Trauma. As we witnessed right before our very eyes, all glued on nationwide television, the blatant rigging of our sacred electoral process with one of the highest voter turnout of 84%. Naalala niyo pa ba? Nung oras na yon, ang sinasabi ng mga tao, oy, ano na yan? Flavor of the month, tapos na yan. Hindi po. Ang election po, eternal flavor. it is going to be our everlasting concern. Naalala niyo pa ba kung anong suot niyo ng oras na yon? Nang tayong lahat ay nilapastangan, nabudol-budol ng COMELEC. Pinasok ang ating mga pribadong tahanan habang tayo ay walang paalay, nakapambahay, nakapajama, o baka ang iba nakahubad na walang kalaban-laban sa napakawalang hiyang pandaraya. Harap-harapan, walang kandungan kahit high school level, kitang-kita ang pre-programming ng mga resorts. Sobrang obvious. Nabayaran pa ang Smartmatic ng 1.5 billion. Can you imagine? Sila pa ang nabayaran, na tayo ay ibudol-budol. Kaya di ba katakataka, bakit walang pagdiwang sa buong kapulungan noong May 10, 2023 and days after? No jubilation. Ang so-called 31 voters for BBM and Sara. Kasi alam nila na pati yung boto nila hindi na bilang. Pati yung mga boto ng mga natalo, nasa tingin ko, yung mga natalo, you have responsibility to your constituents because they knew you were going to lose. And yet they were so brave, they voted for you. So you have a responsibility to take care of your constituents. You have to protect them. After 1 year, today, the state of our nation under BBM is a state of denial. It's a state in a state of depression, in a state of paralysis. As there are 4 types of traumatic responses to our united trauma. To May 9, 22, sino ka dito? Ito, ha? Ito. Fight. Laban. Flight. Takbo. Freeze. Derma. Ford. Balimbing. O syempre marami sa balimbing, di ba? Mas marami rin deadma. Pero doon sa mga deadma, you know what? Especially if this is composed of the oppositionists who lost, you really have responsibility to the people who voted for you. For example, hindi ako makapanipaniwala doon sa votes lang ni Calioni. Hindi ba 200,000 lang? Samantalang following niya 3 million. So naniniwala ka ba doon? Pagkatapos si Senator Pacquiao, last week I just saw him in a restaurant, ang dami-dami pa rin ng gwardiya. Siguro marami pa rin siyang pinapakain ng gwardiya kasi may kaya siya. Ang alam ko kay Attorney Olobredo, siya na mismo nagmamaneho ngayon, wala naman siyang pera. Na siguro akala niya electoral protest ito, kailangan magpasok siya ng 200 million ng sarili niyang pera. Hindi nga, sinasabi na nga ni Attorney Magno, ito ay hindi electoral protest. So, ano ba ang sinasabi ng 87 Constitution sa ating mga karapatan? Sa darating ho ng October 30, magkakaroon tayo ng barangay election. Ito po ay napakahalaga. Napakahalaga. Kasi tayo ay empowered. Alam niyo ba 'yon? Na ano natin, ang karapatan natin ay hindi lamang pagboto sa democracy, kundi to actually participate. Ang tinatawag nito, in the Philippines, ito kinuha ko ito sa mga lectures ni Rafael E. Evangelista. The basic and fundamental exercise of sovereign power is by law, supposed to happen at barangay level, the basic LGU unit of the government. Specifically, sovereignty within a barangay is vested in the barangay assembly po. Assembly, hindi barangay officers of all residents of the barangay. So baliktad po. The people, the residents of the barangay are authorized to take control of their barangays through their respective barangay assemblies under Constitution and existing laws. It is they, the residents, who should be spearheading social, economic, and political initiatives within their respective communities. The barangay chairman and the barangay council should merely follow and be guided by initiatives of the barangay assemblies. Kaya kailangan ho ma-involve tayo. Kaya hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin ang eleksyon, flavor of the month lang yan. Eternal po yan. Kasi yung pagboto natin kay BBM na lumalabas nga sa mga surveys, maski si Senator Trinari, sinabi niya na sila ang mananalo. Hindi naman sila nanalo kasi ang nanalo digital. Di ba? Hindi naman mga tao. So digits. So dapat kung talagang confident ang BBM, mag-recount. At malaman talaga kung ilan talaga ang boto niya. Malay niyo baka 32 million or 2 votes. I don't know after all what's happening now, na puro naka 13 trips na yata, 13 trips in a few days going to Malaysia, na ang nakukuha lang po ay puro pledge. Ano ho ba ang tunay na pledge? Hindi ba panglinis yan? Panglinis lang ng furniture. Pero yung pledge talaga, yung pledge sa bansa natin, nung pa sinasabi yan kay Duterte na pumunta pa kay President GCP na hindi naman tinupad lahat ng mga pledge. Puro buladas na, o baka naman si President GCP nga humihingi sa kanya na bigyan mo naman ako doon sa mga family. Di ba? At saka doon sa 2 billion na sinasabi ni Senator Trillanes, ay di pa galing din sa China yan. I mean, it's just so blatant what's happening now that we really have to get involved. Mga kapatid, kababayan, Filipinos, we are a very, very creative people. And we have the best in us. Natatabunan lang tayo ng kung ano-anong mga immediate issues. Pero actually, we are gifted. I'll give you an example. When my daughter was born, I was already 36. She couldn't read at the age of 6. And so we thought, oh, my husband was 49. Siguro, maybe we have to accept, maybe she's special or she's autistic. It turns out that she made her own alphabet. And this is my thinking, you know. I'm the owner of Flowers by Sylvia, 45 years old. When I started getting my people, I got the people from the BONDOC, so very little education, because I trusted their instincts. And they made the best arrangements, and we competed with foreign consultants of other stores. We have to retain this instinct. So for people to say, na wala silang nakita no sa TV, what happened to your instinct? It was just so blatant. It was so blatant. So please, as Leo Tolstoy said, to feel pain is alive. To feel the pain of other people is human. Let us all remain human. Lalo na ngayong may AI na kinakatakutan na natin na later on, tayo na lang yung magiging, we will be the lesser. I think that's what Elon Musk is warning us about, that later on they can take over dominance. But in the meantime, that we are the dominating people. Let us value what we have. Let us remain human, and let us get out of our bedma, takbo. Alam mo yung takbo na yan, marami talagang mga professionals na nag-alisan. They just left the country because they said, oh my God, another Marcos. So, let's be fair naman. Marcos now is more presentable, diba? He has nice barong. He's good looking, and compared to our previous president. And sometimes maybe he uses makeup, and I'm curious about what foundation. But aside from the facade, ano po talaga yung substance? Ano yung substance na para sa mga tao? Ang sa tingin ko, kaya wala po silang naibibigyan ng substance kasi ang mga voters nila ay digital. Kasi ang digital hindi nagugutom. Hindi nagugutom, di ba? Hindi namamatay. Kasi hindi kailangan matulog. So you become manhid the needs. So mas mabuti pang maging tunay ang mga botante, at ang mga botante po hindi po sila bobotantes. They are smart. They are smart than smartmatic. And I think if it's really true that the surveys were correct, that they would really win, and I did make the surveys. They were really very strong in the beginning, although towards the end I could see a lot of shift. Some went for Mayor Isko. A lot in the beginning among my friends wanted Lacson, but they thought that they'll just vote Lenny because they just go for the winner. But definitely we saw voters for Pacquiao, but and constantly Lori de Guzman was being aired on TV, tapos 200,000 lang. I think the BBM, as everybody was saying, then count people, not digits. So for me, a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's what Lincoln said. Ang sabi naman ni Rizal, ang hindi marunong tumingin sa kanyang pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa kanyang paroroonan. So we do have to value our history. Na tayo ay nagkaroon na ng freedom. Let's value this freedom. Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Ito yung mga lahat. Everybody knows what it means. The voice of the people is the voice of God. But Vox Smartmatics, Vox Dei. Yeah. The voice of Smartmatic is not the voice of the people, and it's not the voice of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvia. Okay. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Okay, thank you so much to our speakers and our reactors. Mila, can we just have the short intermission? The song Paano Mo Nagagawa before we begin with our questions.
Paano mong nagagawa, kapatid mo'y dinadaya? Sa'yo kami nagtiwala, ngunit ano ang napala? Paano kang nabubuhay, nangungupit, nagnanakaw? Di ka ganyan noong araw, iba ka na kung gumalaw. Sana naman kayanin mo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap nga ang magbago, ngunit ikaw ang ehemplo. Sana naman kayanin mo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap nga ang magbago, ngunit ikaw ang ehemplo. May kilala kong driver at sa uli ng atasye. May kilala kong fixer, nagsisinat ngayon teacher. May kilala akong mayor, may palabra de honor. At may isa kong auditor, walang basot, walang pabor. Sana naman gayahin nyo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap na ang magbago, ngunit tayo ang ehemplo. Sana naman gayahin nyo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap na ang magbago, ngunit tayo ang ehemplo. Sana naman kayanin mo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap nga ang magbago, ngunit ikaw ang ehemplo. Sana naman kayahin nyo, panindigan ang prinsipyo. Mahirap nga ang magbago, ngunit tayo ang ehemplo. Tulungan nyo kong magbago, maging tunay na ehemplo.
Just one last message po. DTAN continues to help raise the legal fees. We are engaged in how do you call a campaign to cover the legal fees of the TNPO and Colonel Odonio. So we would appreciate, please, if you can contribute to the legal fee, because these men are there in their 70s, in their 80s, and they're just depending on their retirement pay, right? So they cannot cover the legal fees. So we are helping them raise the legal fees. So every peso, every cent, every dollar is very valuable. And please, every donation is an act of citizenship, for the sake of our country. So dito na lang po. Salamat po at you have joined our forum. I think we will move forward. We will listen to the people's how do you call this recommendations, what to do after this, because I think people are asking, what are we going to do after this forum? I think that's a real question that we all have to reckon with at this moment.
Step, the next course of action.
The next course of action, what are we going to do, especially because the next elections, the forthcoming elections are coming. And if we are not going to do anything, we will be caught again in the same, how did they call that? Catastrophe. Catastrophe that we have been in. So thank you so much, Paul. And good night. Thank you very much.
Tina,
Yes.
I think you should extend an invitation to all participants to join GTAN so that we can continue our discussions and possibly even putting our heads together
Yeah.
to come up with strategies
And
that will help our awareness campaign as well as moving our cause forward.
yeah. So I
So-
think maybe before you leave, be sure to submit your names, your emails, so we can email you. So how will they submit that, Mila? So
Via
just
chat. Yes, go to the
chat.
chat.
Okay. Can you go to
I'm
the
sending
chat
us-
before you
No,
leave? Go to the chat. Please write your names and your email, so we can communicate with you after the forum.
I just sent a
No,
message. Just
we
reply.
are the Global Transparency and Transformation Advocates Network is really an advocacy group that we intend to expand on a worldwide basis. So we are looking for conveners from all major cities around the world. Kailangan palakihin natin tong advokasya na ito because this is the only way that we can influence public policy wherever we are. On an individual basis, we can only do so much. It takes groups to, like people, groups that can influence electoral outcomes, that can influence, effectively participate in political discourse and influence electoral outcomes. So maggrupo-grupo tayo, mag-join tayo ng mga groups, kagaya ng GTAN and all the other groups out there.
Yeah.
Sama-sama tayo. We will be stronger and more effective.
And you can, yeah, that's right. And you can convene. You can start with 3 or 2.
Yeah, if you're a convener, you can just start with 5 or 10 people.
Yeah.
And eventually that will grow.
Yeah.
The more we are in terms of membership, the stronger we will be. Okay?
Can we now end with that message of hope? All right.
Is Father Bert still around? Maybe we can have a last prayer with Father Bert.
Where's
Wala
Father
na,
Bert?
umalis na si Father Bert.
Umalis na Father Bert.
Okay.